Hey, what's up, guys? C4 here. About to get into this next video. I'm going to switch it up again. This one is going to be about 12 mysterious disappearances in national parks. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and enjoy the video. Thank you. In the United States National Park System alone, there are more than 84 million acres of preserved woods, deserts, mountains, and other wilderness, so it's no surprise that in the past 100 years there have been a number of cases of hikers going missing. Many of those who vanished were young children and inexperienced hikers, but some were healthy and seasoned outdoor people. But is there more to these disappearances than just kids wandering off or hikers becoming disoriented? What could cause someone to seemingly vanish into thin air? There are two approaches people take to explaining these mysterious disappearances: earthly and supernatural. Most hiking experts would say that these missing hikers made common mistakes like taking on more than they could handle or failing to time their turn back to beat the sunset. However, some disappearances have become a focus for urban legend, online message boards, and nonfiction books. In fact, Missing 411 author and former police officer at Yosemite National Park, David Paulides, thinks something more intriguing is afoot. His books examine more than 1,100 cases of people who mysteriously vanished in the United States national parks. The National Park Service doesn't collect data on how many visitors disappear within the vast expanses of these parks. Indeed, most people turn up on their own accord a few days later. In 2020, Paulides estimated that there had been over 1,600 unexplained disappearances in North America. Let's be honest, although it might be fun to imagine monsters or something spookier, no proof for any supernatural disappearance has ever been provided, but there have definitely been some mysterious disappearances, both in the United States and abroad in formal, federal government-run national parks, as well as in related spaces like national forests, recreation areas, state parks, and more. Here are some of the most fascinating cases to date, starting in the early 20th century. Number 12, Bessie and Glenn Hyde, 1928. Bessie and Glenn Hyde were honeymooning in northern Arizona at the Grand Canyon when they vanished. They were traveling down the Colorado River by scow in October 1928 and planned to boat through Grand Canyon. Bessie would have been the first woman ever to do so successfully. Glenn had run tough rivers before, but Bessie was a boating newbie. The couple ran across other boaters a few weeks before their disappearance, who said they got the feeling that Bessie wanted to turn back, but Glenn was pushing her on. If they completed the trip successfully, they could go on a paid lecture tour. So this trip was more than just fun. There was money at stake. Cut to several months later, the Hyde's boat was discovered that winter, seemingly undisturbed. It was upright and full of supplies, but the couple was gone. There are many theories about what happened to the Hydes. Did they disembark and try a too difficult side hike? Did they have an argument that turned violent? Or were they abducted? There are conflicting reports about what happened to the Hydes, and more than one Bessie Hyde sighting in the 3 years that followed. Number 11, Alfred Boehart, 1938. 4-year-old Alfred Boehart was the first recorded drowning in Colorado's Rocky Mountain National Park, though whether Boehart actually drowned is controversial. He was camping in the park with his family over the July 4th weekend when he disappeared near the Roaring and Fall rivers. Boehart had gone with his dad to bathe in the river, and from there he decided to join two family friends at a spot about 500 feet upstream of where he and his father entered the river. When everyone returned to camp, they realized that Boehart was missing. A search began immediately, expanding to more than 100 civilian Conservation Corps members within 45 minutes, but there was barely any sign of Boehart anywhere. A day after he disappeared, a couple hiking about 6 miles away from Boehart's campsite reported seeing a boy who looked like Alfred sitting in an area called the Devil's Nest. By the time authorities arrived, though, the boy was gone. The search went on for 10 days and included 150 men plus bloodhounds. Though the size of the search party had dwindled to a dozen by the end of the 8th day, park rangers chalked his disappearance up to a drowning. Number 10, Catherine Van Alst, 1946. 8-year-old Catherine Van Alst disappeared from Devil's Den State Park near Arkansas's Ozark National Forest, where she and her family were camping. Van Alst apparently was playing with her brothers when she wandered off and got lost and couldn't find her way back. What makes her disappearance remarkable is that when she was found after 6 days wandering the woods, she was eerily calm. University of Arkansas student Porter Chadwick was part of the search party that found Van Alst. He told the Pittsburgh Press that when he found her, she walked stoically out of the cave and just said, "Here I am." She had survived on berries and spent nights sleeping in caves. Many other hikers have gotten lost in that part of the Ozarks and not been so lucky. Number 9, Paula Weldon, 1946. There's an area in Green Mountain National Forest near Glastonbury Mountain and Vermont's Long Trail that believers in the paranormal call Bennington Triangle. The area got this name because of a handful of mysterious disappearances which occurred between 1945 and 1950, although many more have been recorded over the years. 18-year-old Weldon was a college student who set out on the long trail in December 1946. She was dressed for walking and not a long hike, wearing jeans, a coat, and sneakers. Her attire implied that she planned on returning before dark when temperatures were supposed to dip below freezing. Weldon told her roommates that she was taking a long walk and she never returned home. Several people spotted her as she hitchhiked her way to the trail and walked to the trailhead. When Weldon didn't come back by dark, her roommate let the school know and the search began. Classes were suspended so students could help with the search. The process was disorganized at first until Weldon's father called in favors from police in two surrounding states. Unfortunately, the search didn't pan out and frustrated family and friends had their own theories about what happened to her. Did Weldon run off with a boyfriend? Was she abducted? Did she commit suicide? Or did she die of exposure because of her inappropriate attire? No one has discovered her body, so her disappearance remains a mystery. There's a rumor that this area of the Long Trail is home to a creature called the Bennington Monster. Could this Sasquatch-like animal have something to do with the disappearance? One positive outcome of the case was that the lack of organization in the search for Paula Weldon led to the creation of the Vermont State Police, which is responsible for all wilderness search and rescue missions in the state. 8. Larry Jeffrey, 1966. 6-year-old Larry Jeffrey disappeared near the peak of 12,000-foot Mount Charleston in Humboldt-Toyabe National Forest, just a short drive from Las Vegas. The search began immediately after the boy wandered away from his brothers, and within days the National Guard and a team of bloodhounds had joined the search. In a TV interview, David Polides told reporter George Knapp that there was no predators afoot that day, and since the area they were in was pretty secluded, it's easy to rule out an abduction by car. This boy just walked into oblivion, Polides said. When Jeffrey disappeared, he was wearing light clothing, and authorities were doubtful that he could survive the cold temperatures at night. Searchers found and lost the trail a few times, and they discovered evidence that the boy had been eating insects and foraged berries along the way. Overall, around 1,000 people searched for 16 days but never found him. Number 7. Dennis Martin, 1969. 6-year-old Dennis Martin was on a camping trip near the Tennessee-North Carolina state line with his family in the summer of 1969. It was an annual Father's Day tradition. All of the men in the Martin family headed to Smoky Mountain National Park to camp and hike. Dennis and his brothers had planned a prank on the adults. They were going to hide separately in the bush and jump out on different sides of the campsite to scare them. It was a typical joke that should have ended with some startled shouts and then a lot of laughter. The laughter ended quickly, though, when they realized that Dennis was missing. Family, park rangers, and other hikers spread out to search for Dennis almost immediately, but he was nowhere to be found. That evening, there was heavy rainfall, which is bad news when you're trying to track a missing little boy. The search for Martin became the largest in National Park Service history. One of the people searching was Park Ranger Dwight McCarter, who had successfully tracked down hundreds of missing persons, including young children. McCarter was a seasoned tracker, and he was struck by the complete lack of any sort of tracks. Dennis seemed to have disappeared completely, leaving no trace at all. His disappearance is still a mystery. One possible lead that searchers didn't follow was a report from another family the evening that the boy disappeared. The Key family allegedly heard a scream and then saw a bear man with something slung over its shoulder that looked like it could be a small child. We'll never know whether this was related to Martin's disappearance, but one thing did come out of it: the realization that having so many volunteers might have meant some vital clues got trampled on. Nowadays, searches involve less people, but they have more training. Thank you for watching part 1 of the 12 most mysterious national park disappearances. Hope you enjoyed the video. Please come back for video number 2 where we count down 6 through 1. Also, please like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you.